Let me explain something to you, mother. You on probation, right? You just approached me, threatening me. Your words was, we step on shit, okay? You didn't say I, you made it plural. You said we, so that's in cohorts. I mean a gang. You on probation. Then you had a fella with you that was possessing a gun. You are not supposed to be around with people that had guns. The federal authorities, because you made a threat while possessing a gun.
That nigga told gun. Bitch ass nigga. Man, them hoe ass niggas approach me now, catch
The snitch calling somebody else a snitch. Let that satisfying irony sit with you for a moment. Young Thug, one of the most influential artists in modern hip-hop, could be heading back to prison. Not next month. Not next year. As of March 28, 2026, literally last night, the unthinkable happened. Charleston White, the very same man who has spent years relentlessly branding Young Thug as a rat, a snitch, a federal informant, and a coward, that man just flipped the entire script on himself. He jumped on Instagram Live and declared to the world, without an ounce of hesitation, "I'm contacting your probation officer. You're going to jail." Read that sentence one more time and let it truly register. The man who constructed his entire online empire by attacking anyone he deemed a snitch, just snitched. On camera. In front of thousands. With zero shame whatsoever. And here's where the story takes an even darker turn because of what allegedly unfolded at Drusky's party in Miami. Young Thug isn't just facing a slap on the wrist. He could now be staring down the barrel of a 20-year prison sentence. Not 5 years. Not a decade. 20 full years behind bars. All potentially triggered by a man he likely never wanted to be within 100 miles of. This is, without exaggeration, one of the most ironic, deeply twisted, and painfully layered situations hip-hop has witnessed in years. And to truly understand just how insane this all is, we have to rewind. We have to go back to Halloween 2024, October 31st. While the rest of the country was out trick-or-treating and enjoying the holiday, Jeffrey Lamar Williams, better known to the world as Young Thug, walked out of a Georgia correctional facility and stepped back into the free world after serving more than 2.5 grueling years behind bars. The case that put him there? One of the most complex and sprawling RICO prosecutions this nation has ever witnessed is the now infamous YSL case. This was not just any trial. This became the longest criminal trial in the entire history of the state of Georgia, a legal hurricane that swept through an entire organization, resulting in 28 separate indictments. The charges leveled against the defendants were staggering and extensive: gang-related allegations, murder charges, drug trafficking charges, firearms charges, and the absolute full spectrum of the most serious criminal accusations the justice system can throw at a person. But make no mistake, Young Thug did not walk out of that facility a free and clear man. He struck a plea deal, and the sentence that accompanied it was nothing short of staggering: 40 years total. The first 5 years of that sentence were commuted to time already served, followed by 15 long years of strict probation. But here's the part that truly defines every single thing that comes next, the part that elevates the stakes to an almost unbearable level. Lurking directly behind that probation sits a backloaded 20-year prison sentence, coiled like a loaded weapon just waiting to discharge. If Young Thug successfully navigates and completes all 15 years of that probation without a single misstep, that 20-year sentence vanishes entirely. It disappears like it never existed. But if he fails? If he stumbles in any measurable way? He faces the terrifying reality of serving every last year of that sentence. That is the invisible sword dangling above his head every single day he breathes free air. And the conditions governing his release? They were anything but lenient, anything but forgiving. Young Thug is prohibited from associating with any known gang members or any co-defendants from the YSL trial, with only 2 narrow exceptions: Ghana and his brother Unfunk. He is completely banned from entering the Atlanta metropolitan area for an entire decade, 10 full years, exiled from the city that made him. He is required to deliver anti-gang presentations as part of his obligations. He is forbidden from promoting gang activity in any form, on any platform, at any time. Every single step he takes, every social media post he publishes, every room he walks into carries immeasurable weight. One wrong move, one solitary misstep, and that dormant 20-year sentence roars to life. This is the existence of a man walking on shattered glass, where every breath, every decision, every moment could trigger the next devastating chapter in a high-stakes legal drama that refuses to end. That is the situation. And you absolutely need to hold that reality firmly in your mind, because everything that went down last night only makes sense when you truly comprehend just how impossibly tight that legal leash really is. But here's something most people watching this don't even realize: last night was not the first time someone tried to shove Young Thug back behind those prison walls. This battle started long before the events in Miami. Let's rewind to April of 2025, when prosecutors tested that hanging sword for the very first time. On April 2, 2025, the Fulton County District Attorney's Office filed a meticulously detailed 14-page motion, arguing emphatically that Young Thug had violated the terms of his probation through his social media activity. The target of their scrutiny was a now-deleted post directed at DA investigator Marissa Viverito, in which Thug publicly called her the biggest liar in the DA office. The reaction from the prosecution was immediate, fierce, and intense. They claimed the post went viral almost instantly, that it led directly to Viverito's home address being shared publicly across the internet, and they even alleged that credible threats were subsequently made against District Attorney Fani Willis herself. The motion painted Young Thug's very presence in the community as a clear and present danger to public safety, and it urged the court in the strongest possible terms to revoke his probation immediately. But Young Thug's attorney, the formidable Brian Steele, hit back without a moment of hesitation. Steele called the motion riddled with baseless claims and argued forcefully that reposting an image on social media while calling someone untruthful does not under any legal standard constitute a probation violation. And Thug himself took directly to X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, to assert his position plainly and clearly: "I don't make threats to people. I'm all about peace and love." Those were his words. And here's the critical part of that chapter. The judge ultimately agreed. Judge Whitaker ruled that while Young Thug's social media behavior was clearly imprudent and ill-advised, it simply did not rise to the legal threshold that would justify incarceration. She formally declined to revoke his probation. He dodged it. Just barely by the thinnest of margins, but he dodged it. Yet that razor-close call should have been a deafening warning shot, a blaring signal from the universe itself screaming, "Stay low. Stay quiet. Stay completely and entirely out of drama." Because from that moment forward, every single situation became amplified beyond measure. Every confrontation, every beef, every room he walks into carries exponentially more weight and risk than it would for any ordinary person walking this earth. And right now, Young Thug is not ordinary. He is a man with 20 years of imprisonment lurking patiently in the shadows, waiting for one wrong move. And the streets? The streets have never cared about anyone's probation conditions. Someone will always have something to prove. Someone will always test the boundaries. And that someone on this particular night last night was Charleston White. For those who are unfamiliar with this man, here is the complete, unfiltered picture. You simply cannot grasp why last night was so extraordinarily perilous without first understanding exactly who Charleston White is and precisely what he is capable of. Born May 17, 1977, in Fort Worth, Texas, his story is far from simple and far from straightforward. At just 14 years old, barely a teenager, he was involved in a robbery that escalated into a murder charge, which landed him in juvenile detention. He served his time, came out the other side, and genuinely made efforts to turn his life around and build something positive. He studied criminal justice at Texas Wesleyan University and co-founded a youth outreach organization called Helping Young People Excel, known by its acronym HYPE. On paper, it reads like a textbook redemption story, the kind of turnaround narrative America claims to celebrate. But then social media entered the picture, and Charleston White discovered one undeniable, intoxicating truth: controversy pays. Charleston White built his entire online brand from the ground up on saying the most outrageous, inflammatory, and provocative things imaginable about hip-hop culture, street life, and rap artists, and then sitting back and watching the clicks, the views, and the engagement pour in like a flood. He amassed hundreds of thousands of followers across multiple platforms doing exactly that, stirring the pot and profiting from the chaos. But what makes him uniquely dangerous in situations precisely like this one is his complete and total willingness to involve law enforcement whenever it suits his purposes. Let's break down the track record because the receipts are long. In 2022, he got into a highly public altercation with Soulja Boy at an event and openly claimed that he maced him. And what happened immediately after that confrontation? He filed a police report on Soulja Boy publicly and on the official record. In 2023, he contacted Child Protective Services not once but twice regarding a rapper named Finesse 2 Times, who was working with a child artist known as Lil King. He repeatedly and publicly called out T.I. over his son, King Harris, and openly threatened legal action against the family. He also tangled very publicly and very visibly with Boosie Badass, making that conflict impossible for anyone to miss. Earlier, in 2025, he was arrested himself on aggravated assault charges in the state of Texas. Over the span of years, this man has been in and out of drama, in and out of courtrooms, and constantly, relentlessly occupying space in the headlines. But the single most critical piece of his history for the story we're telling right now is his absolute obsession with labeling Young Thug a snitch. When the YSL trial began to unravel and shift, audio allegedly surfaced of Thug speaking during a police interrogation about fellow rapper Pee Wee Roscoe. Charleston White went absolutely nuclear. He took to Instagram and declared to the world with full conviction, "I prophesied this. I told y'all Young Thug was gone. Don't tell it." He accused the entire YSL circle of being loose-lipped and untrustworthy, making video after video after video, relentlessly driving that singular narrative home to his ever-growing audience. Young Thug equals snitch. That equation became his brand when it came to Thug: relentless, public, loud, and utterly impossible to ignore. And he never stopped. Charleston White continued producing inflammatory comments and scorching hot takes about the YSL RICO case, month after month after month. He openly suggested that Young Thug deserved every ounce of the legal trouble he was facing. He mocked and belittled anyone who dared to support Thug publicly. He stayed fixated almost pathologically so on Young Thug's name for months, and really, if we're being honest, for years.